Hi guys! So I've been in my one book July, or should I say two book July setup for about a week and a half now, and I thought I would just give you an update to tell you how it's been going. I'm using my Hobonichi Weeks and my Hobonichi Cousin. I didn't mention in the last video that just as I am using two books, I'm also using two pens, one pen per book. So my Weeks is at the moment paired with the Pilot Vanishing Point in the fine nib, and my Cousin is with a Pilot Decimo in the extra fine. So let's start with the Weeks. First of all, as you can see, it's out of its home. I've been keeping it in this Saffiano compact zip, which is also my wallet. But just today I started experimenting with keeping it on its own when I'm at home, because I was kind of feeling like it's a little bit bulky with the whole wallet setup, and I was kind of feeling like the Weeks was getting a bit dwarfed inside it. And so I just experimented, seeing what it would be like if I took it out. And I'm really enjoying how light it is. It's just such a tiny planner and it weighs nothing when it's on its own. And I was really happy to discover that you can actually hook the pen clip inside the binding here and it doesn't damage it. So I've just been doing that and I'll see how it goes. The thing about this arrangement is that because it doesn't have a cover on it, it's really easy to put back inside this, so I can just put it into my wallet when I'm going out. So, the Weeks. Let's go to my weekly setup. So as you can see, it's quite full, which is how I wanted it to be. It's got everything in it that I need. I'm doing all of my weekly planning in here for everything personal. This is my personal planner, right? So there's nothing work related in here except for appointments that I think are relevant. So like, for example, this week I was at this training program on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, and I put that in just so that I would be able to see where I was all day, even though obviously it's in my work planner as well. So on the left, I've got events and appointments. In the middle, I have gratitude, and on the right, I have my expenses. Then at the bottom, this was something that I had in my gratitude journal, and I missed it when I transferred the gratitude into here. It was a little, I used to write in every day what the highlight of the day was. Like at the end of the day, I would write in my favorite thing from that day, and it was just a really nice, positive way to end the day. And I realized that I missed not having it, so I've just put it down here. It's very small, but this is the nice thing about the Weeks. It's compact, but somehow there's a lot of room to fit things in if you write small. So I've just added in here Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and I can just note down my favorite thing that happened during the day. Then here I've just left this blank so that I can note down things like, if I see an advert on the tube that I think is worthwhile remembering and I want to have an easy place to find it, I'll put it here. Or just any other kind of random notes that I want somewhere to put that don't belong to any of the weekly spaces. Then I've put my exercise tracker and bank balance tracker on the top left here. They used to be down here, but I moved it so that I would have this space for notes. And then I've put my week totals for the budget here. Not budget really, it's expenses. So food expenses, essentials, and other, and then the total. And I'm going to add them up tomorrow or maybe Monday morning when the week is over, because I'm working on a Monday to Sunday week. And then on the right hand side here, I've got my to-dos. And as I mentioned in one of the previous videos, I'm trying to divide them into AM and PM. Or, you know, like first half of the day, second half of the day, so that I can kind of see at a glance, this is what I should be doing early on in the day, and then this is what I should be doing in the late afternoon and evening. And that's working really well. Some days there are more things than others. I've been putting everything into here, and I haven't been using my daily planners. So, as you know, if you saw the previous video, I've got these 3 daily planners, which are undated. They're just notebooks. These 2 are inside a Traveler's Notebook, a Fodori cover, but they're just notebooks. And I just use them for to-do lists. So when I have a particularly busy day, which is generally the days when James is at the market where he works sometimes, and I'm at home, and I have a lot of things to do, I just like to have a nice running list so that I can see everything, whether it's work or personal, including routines, things that aren't particular one-offs that are special for that day. And I was really enjoying using that before One Book July came along, but I decided that in order to do it properly, as in, as properly as I wanted to do it, I really just wanted to try limiting myself to these 2 books and see how that went. And so far it's been fine. As you can see, some of it's to do with the nature of the week. So as I mentioned, from Wednesday to Friday, I was at this training course, and that took up the whole entire day. So while I was there, I really couldn't do anything else. There were no other tasks to do, and the course was very self-contained. And because it was a work-related event, I put all of the stuff to do with that in here, in my work planner. So there weren't really a lot of tasks for me to do, because I would come home in the evening, deal with my work emails, make dinner, maybe do like a little bit more of my usual work, my research work, and then, do something with James, like watch a film. So there wasn't actually a lot of stuff that I had to put in here, and that's why this is relatively blank. Alternatively, at the beginning of the week, when I was at home, you can see that these days are filled with tasks, and there actually were other things that I didn't write down because I have to be a bit careful with the space here. It's not unlimited, unlike this where a full A5 page is more than enough to write down all of my tasks. So here I had to be careful to only put in the things that I thought I most needed to remember, as opposed to like every little task, which is what I would do when I'm using the daily planner. And I would just keep this for the unique, unusual, specific tasks. Like, for example, something that I needed to buy, or like the recycling goes out on Monday night, things that are specific to that day, rather than things like take the dogs out, give them their lunch, type of stuff that is kind of normal stuff, but I was used to writing that down in here as well. So that has been fine. I haven't felt desperate or like I haven't been able to have a clear idea of what I needed to get done. But like I said, I think some of that is to do with the nature of the week, in that 3 days were just kind of like taken up with something else, and I wasn't really available for other tasks. So I'm not sure what it will be like next week, when I'm at home pretty much every day working, and James will be in the market almost every day. And those are just the kind of days when I normally really do like to have the daily planner. So I think that will be more of a fair test of whether or not it works just having this, or whether I really feel like I miss the daily planner. So far, it's been fine. In terms of the other things that I transferred into here, a lot of these I'd already kind of started testing out before One Book July started, so I knew that they worked. So for example, meal planning. Again, meal planning kind of went out the window because I was at this training course, and so it was like everything was taken care of and I wasn't at home, and so you can see that it's quite blank. I really would like to start doing meal planning again for tomorrow, because both of us are at home, and those are the sorts of days when it's really useful having a plan. In terms of the meal planning, as you might know, I normally do meal planning in this, and this is one of the planners that I decorate. So obviously I haven't been using that since One Book July started. So it's very sad and empty. It's completely blank. When I started putting my meal planning in this, in the kind of run up to One Book July, when I really wanted to test how much I could do with this and how much use I could get out of it, this became like kind of redundant, but I was still putting the meal planning in here as well. So the idea is that I would have this as my command center. Everything I need will be in here, unless it's work, in which case it's in here. But there are a few other things like meal planning that I was putting in here, just for one thing, so that I could have fun decorating it with stickers, because I don't do that in my 2 main planners, and also so that it would be something that James and I could both look at. And for meal planning, obviously that's quite useful. So we had it out on the desk and he could see what was in it, because we would have both agreed on it the day before. So he has said that he misses having it, and I've also missed having it, because even if I have the meal planning in here, it's kind of nice having this big colorful spread that's open on the desk, so that you can just instantly see like, oh yeah, that's what we said we're having for lunch. Although getting it out and checking it in here is fine, and I always have this with me. So this is like a possible issue. Because this is something that's to do with the 2 of us, not just me, it might actually be useful and be sort of make us more productive having it in here. So this is something we might go back to before the end of July. I'm not sure, because it's not like our lives have fallen to pieces without it, but it is just a nice little extra having the meals all set out in here so that we can both check them. So this is kind of a question mark at the moment. It's not something that we need, but I mean, when is something ever in the world of planning an absolute essential, except for, you know, obviously you need the very minimum of having something to put your plans in, but a lot of the rest of it is just extra stuff that makes your life run more smoothly or makes you happier somehow, right? So this is a question mark because we both like having it and kind of miss it, although I do really like having the meal planning in here. So I think after July I'll definitely keep on putting the meal planning in here because I really like knowing that everything is in this one little book, but it might also be nice to have it in there as well. On the subject of that type of thing, all that I have done outside of this book since One Book July started is at the end of the first week, I copied over all of the finance information from here. I'd already worked everything out in here, and then I transferred it over to here because this is my official finance planner. And I wanted to have the record in here. So it was really an interesting experience because when I'd done it, I kind of felt a bit like that was a waste of time. Why did I just copy everything over into this when I already have it in here and I could just consult it in here? I'd thought that I would want to have this as my permanent record because this is purely for finances, and I like the idea of just being able to go and look things up in here and have it be totally a finance planner, if you see what I mean. So I thought that it would be important to transfer it over. But actually, I felt like it's fine having it in this. Like, you know, this is my book. I always have this with me. If I want to go back and check how much I spent, I can just look in here, and this is right next to me anyway. So that was kind of interesting because it made me feel a bit like maybe I don't want to keep putting the information into here at the end of every week. Maybe I'll wait and just do it at the end of the month. I still like the idea of having this planner as a reference. And also, one of the things about it, I mentioned this in the last video, is that I just really enjoy using it. It's beautiful. I like opening it. I like admiring it. I like the rings, the discs, you know, like I like the setup. I like how it looks. Makes me happy. And that's one of the points of having a planner, I think, is that if it makes you happy and you like using it, then it's going to benefit you. And I think that's particularly important for finances, which are an area that can be very stressful. And that was one of the reasons why I set up this planner, so that I would have a happy place, so that finances would be associated with abundance and with fun and with getting to use a beautiful planner. So I think that psychologically it's kind of important to have this, but I'm torn because I also really like the simplicity of having everything in this one little book. And once you have everything in this book, and it does all fit, I've tested it, it's absolutely fine, there's enough room for it all, it kind of feels like a waste of time copying it over into another book. So it's sort of a slightly different issue to the meal planning issue, but they both have this same question of whether it's worth copying something over when you already have it in one place. I know there are different schools of thought on that. So I've heard some people say that they like having the same thing in multiple planners, like Miss Vicky B. That was the first place I heard this idea, that it's actually a useful thing to have the same information in multiple planners, because when you copy something out, obviously it gets more ingrained. So maybe it could be a useful exercise, even though it sort of feels like a pain, copying out the finance information into here and having it in the two places at once. I'm not sure yet. That's still kind of a thought in progress, so I don't know what my final answer to that will be. Fortunately, there's no absolute deadline. I have the month of July to just keep using this, and I've decided I'm not going to copy anything over into this again until the end of July, and then at the end of the month I'll see whether or not I think that actually it would be helpful having it all in here as well. But I'm definitely going to keep it in here for, you know, longer than that. I like having everything in the one book. That's definitely something that I've learned from this so far. So in terms of other things that I put into here that I had in other places originally, the Cinephile, which is this traveler's notebook where we were keeping records of the films and TV shows that we want to see, I've put in here. And I really like having it in here because, again, it means it's another thing that I don't have to go to the shelf and get out the right planner. It's just here. I don't have to think about it. I know that it's in here. And I find that very, very satisfying. I really like it. I think that when I first started using this the weeks, I didn't realize its full potential, and I'd mapped out a lot of pages for specific things, and I didn't know how many pages I would need for them. And now that the year is more than halfway through in the weeks, it turns out actually that you can get a lot out of a few pages, and you can have more different sections than I thought that I would be able to have. So I really like having the films in here. But again, it's the same issue. It's not that I need to have this, but I really like having this beautiful traveler's notebook to use. So if I took this out of the equation, then I would be kind of sad that this was just empty, sitting on the shelf, not being used. So it's kind of like a tension between liking to have everything in one place and the fact that I can have it in here, there's enough room for it. And then on the other hand, it would sort of be sad not to get to use this ever again. So it's like almost like this is too efficient, and it's taken away some of my beautiful planners because I can put everything in here. So that's like kind of what I'm weighing up at the moment. Then let's see what else is there in here. I think that is everything that I had in another planner. It's all in here, and I'm really impressed with how much the weeks can fit in it. So that's awesome. Then on to this one, my work planner. So everything in here is the same as what it was before, because I was just using this as my work planner, and it's still just my work planner. And that is going really well because I love this setup and it's perfect for what I need it for. So everything to do with work just goes in here. And I talked about in my initial One Book July setup video how I'd originally considered putting everything into here, and then I decided against it. And I'm really glad that I didn't, because I feel like my minimum is definitely 2 planners. I really, really like having work and personal separate. So this is work and this is everything else. And some of it is just because of the nature of my job, because I have both appointments and projects that I'm working on at home, and also need to take a lot of notes, and so it just makes complete sense. It works really well with the cousin. So that's it. Those are my 2 planners. This is what I'm using. I'm very, very happy with it. The only issues are, as I've said, I'm not sure what's going to happen next week when I have more days that could probably benefit from having a daily planner. I'll see how that goes. And then also this issue of having this whole stack of planners that I don't want to get rid of, even though I don't actually need them, just because in some cases because I like having them, and in other cases because it's sort of practical for the family. The other family joint planner is this one. This one has always been redundant. This is the one where I've been putting in our appointments, our joint appointments that we both have, just so that we can see where each of us is going to be on any given day. And again, this one usually is open on the desk. This one and the meal planner are like our 2 joint family planners. And James has also said that he misses having this one, and I miss decorating it, because this was the main reason why I started it. Obviously, we each have our own planner and we can ask each other where we're going to be, so it's usually not like a big issue, but it's just nice to have it, and it's also really fun and it's colorful. So I kind of feel like these 2 planners, more than the other ones, are the ones that I would like to go back to, just because they're fun, they make us happy, and they do fulfill a purpose in that there's something that we can both look at, so that it's not like this is all stuff that kind of affects only me, I guess, but these 2 are things that affect both of us. And by the same token, this one also, the Cinephile, because, you know, James could check this if he wanted to. It's on the shelf, and it's for both of us. Not that he can't look in my weeks, but, you know, like, he wouldn't be able to find things because I know where I've put them, and this is purely for films, so it's easy for anyone to check it and find what they want. So those are kind of my considerations at the moment, whether it's better to have simplicity and a very streamlined system, or whether it's better to have some redundancy, as in, I definitely want to keep all of this information in here, but do I want to have it in here as well? Just because it's either because it's fun or because it benefits the family in some way, the household. So that's what I'm going to think about going forward into next week. I'm going to sort of keep thinking about that issue of these planners, and I'm also going to think about whether or not I feel like I would really like to have the daily planners back. Obviously with the daily planners, it's again the same issue in that I missed them. I really liked using this. I liked having Batman, and it sort of was something that made me excited in the morning, like getting to use one of the daily planners. And so I missed that, not because I need it, just because it's fun. So I'm not sure, like the so far One Book July or Two Book July has been a really, really nice experience so far, because it's just been very, very, it's like kind of streamlining your planning system kind of gives your brain a holiday, because you don't have to make all these decisions about like, which planner will I use today? Like, will I check this one? Will I check this one? Am I going to copy things over? It's just like, it's either in here or it's in here. It's very nice for the brain. But on the other hand, I missed some of the fun and the diversity of having all these multiple planners. So that is how things stand at the moment. I will give you another update next week and let you know how things have developed. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again soon.